Okay, here we go. New video. Remember, all of it's going to be tried to do in about 11 minutes. So let me start the clock right now. And we are talking about progression today. The question I get the most from the Honey, I Shrunk the Program Design video was about progression. So I want to go into it. Because like the whole point of that video wasn't to do an exhaustive look at every one of those subjects. It would have been impossible. I could barely squeeze what I did in 11 minutes. So there was a lot of stuff that I didn't talk about on purpose. But now we have these little breakout videos. I'm already wasting time rambling on, so let's get to it. So we're going to talk about progression. There are two things you need to know about progressing in your routine. There's the simple and there's the complex. The simple is just that, it's simple. You can simply do more. Right? If you want to make progress, you can do more sets. We talked about how for most beginners, they're going to do about 9 sets per body part for the bigger muscle groups of the chest, the back, the front of the thighs, and the back of the thighs. And then for the smaller ancillary muscle groups like biceps, triceps, and shoulders, they're going to do about 6 sets a week spread out evenly over 7 days. 6 sets a week or 9 sets a week spread out evenly over 7 days. That could progress to as many as 10 to 20 sets of those muscle groups spread out evenly over 7 days. There's another whole aspect of doing this all in one day. I'm not going to get into that right now. But again, that's progression. You've gone from being able to do this much work to that much work. Is it ideal to keep the weights the same? No, that's actually a stupid thing to say. You do want to see the weights also go up, which kind of goes into these next two categories. But that is an example of progression, being able to do more work over an extended period of time. Whether that period of time is within a day via more sets and reps in the workout itself, or more sets and reps and more weight over a week. You can do more reps. Say you don't lift the weight for 6 reps. Well, then you can do 7 reps and 8 reps and 9 reps and 10 reps, all the way up to 15 reps. That is progression. If you can only lift 100 pounds for 6 reps, and now all of a sudden you do it for 15 reps, you are therefore stronger and you have made progress. The problem a lot of people get themselves into is they never move the reps or the weight up, they just do more sets. That is incomplete progression. We know in order to make progress, we need to use heavier and heavier resistances over time. So far we know the simple is we do more sets, we do more reps. We can lift more weight. I've already talked about that. Even if you had the same weight, say that 100 pounds, you did it for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 reps, that's progress. But let's say you didn't even change the reps. Let's say you went from doing 1 pound to King Kong Bundy. Now, if you know who King Kong Bundy is, he was this wrestler who took on Hulk Hogan in WrestleMania 2 in the steel cage. He suckered Hogan and broke his ribs a couple weeks prior, but then Hogan came back and took him out. WWF history is irrelevant here. The bottom line is King Kong Bundy weighed between like 450 to 500 pounds. So you can go anywhere from 1 pound to a King Kong Bundy. And just so we're very clear about this, I think the world powerlifting record for the squat is about 2.5 King Kong Bundys now. I'm just talking about for average people. The average person will never lift more than 1 King Kong Bundy. The point still being is you can also increase weight, not move the reps, not move the sets, and you make progress. Or simply, you can do some combination of all three. The key is that you can do more than you did before. That is the simple approach to progression. You can do more total exercises in a routine. I've had people who start out, they want to do 4 exercises in an hour and they're exhausted. Then without even changing sets, reps, and weight, they can do as many as 6, then 8, then 12, then 15 exercises in an hour by shortening the rest breaks. The one thing you have to understand is why I have all these categories is not all of them fit into the same person. Some people aren't good at moving reps up, but they're good at moving weight. Some people aren't so great at moving weight, so you have to get them to do more sets and reps to finally get the weight up. This is actually very true the further you progress. I talked about this in the last video. Beginners progress at a different rate than intermediates and advanced. That's where the evil fitness industry comes in. They try to convince you they should make the same level of progress no matter how long you've been working out. That is not the case. Beginners may see increases in sets, reps, and weights every workout. As you get closer to your natural genetic ability, that will slow down. You can do, and by the way, the stronger you get, it actually begins to come back around again. I have some people I started off with 4 exercises, get them up to 15, and they get so strong at the initial amount of exercises, they need more sets to warm up. They need more time to recover between sets because the weights are heavier. They're capable of putting forth more effort. So this is actually one of these ones that's kind of the circle of life, Elton John style, is sometimes they start at 4, get up to 15, then start going back down to 4 as the person gets more fit. But the bottom line is it's another avenue of progression. You can go from less complex movements to more complex movements. I've had people I would only barely do leg extensions. They couldn't split squat. They couldn't do this to save their life. They were too weak and flexible and had poor balance and poor stability. So what did I do? I just beat them into the ground with this exercise. I had them do leg extensions to build up strength in their legs. I had them doing squats, body weight, and eventually load into a chair to build up their leg muscles. Then once they had the leg strength, I could progress them to a more complex movement like the split squat. So you can improve with complexity. Mental perception, that's another one. I've had people who have come to me and I'll offer them, I'll say, all right, you're doing 7.5 pound dumbbells, we got to get to 10. Now we get to 12.5. I actually had one client once who went from 7.5 to 10, and I tried to get them to go to 12.5 pound dumbbells, so they've been at the 10 pound dumbbells forever. And the client's like, that weight's going to kill me. I'm like, it's 12.5 pounds, it's not going to kill you. But they had this perception in their head, oh my God, 12.5 pounds, it's going to destroy my joints, it's going to make my head explode. So fast forward about a year or two later, this person was doing like 25 pound dumbbells on the incline press. And I handed on purpose, because I'm kind of like a dick like this, I purposely handed them a pair of 12.5 pound dumbbells. I said, hey, press this. And they looked at me and they said, this is stupid. I'm not going to press those stupid dumbbells. What's that going to do for me? And then I went back into my trusty chart and I showed them when they first started. I said, look at this note I put next to the dumbbell you lifted. I said, client thought 12.5 pound dumbbell was going to kill them. So even your mental perception, how you view something, when the weights that were once heavy to you not only seem light but seem stupid, that is progression. You're mentally stronger and tougher, at least relative to the workout. So these are all the areas of simple progression, and they're all necessary. Why? Because not everybody progresses at the same rate or uses the same progression tools equally. Like I said, some people are better at lifting more weights, some are adding more reps, some are better at adding more sets. The key is that you're doing more over time. That over time you progressively load the body with more. I tend to find that people get most of the money made by going from pounds to King Kong Bundy, but there's a certain degree of necessity between these two categories in order to make this really shine. But that's a simple form of progression. Where we got a little more complex now is how do you deal with this area, special populations and also people's genetics. I'm running out of time here because I got too long-winded on this. I might go over 11 minutes, so what, sue me. Special populations. Some people are on the 5-year plan from the movie Big Daddy. If you've ever seen the Adam Sandler movie Big Daddy, his girlfriend leaves him for this old guy, and she says he has so she's trying to tell him all the reasons why this old guy is a better boyfriend than him, and she says, he has a 5-year plan. And Adam Sandler goes, what, not to die? Some clients you're training with, that's the goal. And a lot of the thick wrist and elephant calf people who think everyone should be lifting a barbell and should be doing more and more weight all the time using heavy exercise don't understand is that not everyone is capable of that. They can't do it. I should just say they aren't capable of it. They can't handle that. Some people, the best progression is not to regress. And whenever you get these hotshot trainers come in and say, well, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. I'm like, who the hell have you actually ever trained? Have you ever trained someone in a special population who's older, who's dealing with a chronic disease? Sometimes, in the other area you have to figure out, sometimes the same client doesn't show up every time. If you have a client who's battling a chronic disease, especially an autoimmune disorder, you have no idea who's going to show up to the session on any given day. For that day, not letting them drop their weights by 10 pounds may be a progression by not letting them drop their weights over 20 pounds. Some people, you could train them for 5 years and the weights never go down, but they never go up. And the average, again, thick-wrist elephant calf guy would say, well, you're a crappy trainer. And what I would say is, hey, good job not letting them die. I don't mean to be crass. Actually, I'm kind of crass, but I don't mean crass about that. It's just a lot of people don't understand that. They see progression, they think that every person should add sets, reps, and weights, and sometimes that's not the case. There are numerous populations that you will either be a part of as an individual or a trainer that you're working with, where adding more weight, adding more sets, and adding more reps, and adding more complex movements is just not on the card either for the rest of their life or for any given day. Now, granted, I know some people can use that as an excuse to not make progress and not work hard. I'm trying to hope for the best in people, and a trainer should be able to tell whether somebody's sandbagging it or not. I already gave you an example of that in this earlier part of the however long this is going to be. But you have to understand that. Then you have all the special populations like studs and studettes. These are the people I got to keep from using this to kill themselves. All right, they want to max bench every time. They want to max squat every time. They want to do max reps of chin-ups every time. And they can't figure out where their elbows feel like they're going to fall off a couple months later. Right? Some people who are young, healthy, and incredibly aggressive, the special thing about their population is keeping them from progressing too far, too fast. Oh, sorry, my phone just buzzed. That threw me off a little bit. All right, so the third one is genetics. Life, at least in the world of exercise, is not fair. If you're looking for equity in results in the human body, forget about it. All right? I love, how do I put this without being too political or controversial? Even a lunatic like Karl Marx would never think that you could have equity in the bench press. And if he did, we should just get rid of him right now. All right? The reality is the human body adapts differently for different people. Different people have different genetics. And the reality is, shut up, whatever. We're talking about Karl Marx, I might as well keep going. The reality is, not everyone has the same rate of progression or capacity of progression. Not everyone is going to add more sets, more reps, or more weight at the same rate or same amount, or they're going to end up in the same place. You are not a really good training program away from being a world-class athlete. I have to break it to you. If you were going to be a world-class athlete, people were going to know about that a long time ago. Here's the key. Everyone can make progress. Everyone can be better. When you start having these dreams of this physical utopia that we're just going to wash in by giving everyone equal access to the equipment, weights, and knowledge, it doesn't work that way. Most of the people who are the best at this won't even watch this stupid video because they don't have to. They just show up to the gym and this happens. They're lifting multiple King Kong Bundys and it just kind of happened. They didn't need some special training program. So, in conclusion, this doesn't go too far over the rails. Again, these have to stay short because all of a sudden I'm talking about Karl Marx and it makes no sense. Remember, there's simple and there's complex progression. Adding more sets, more reps, lifting more reps, lifting more weight, doing more total exercises and then back around again. More complex exercises. Different mental perception of the difficult, to be able to drive and push yourself harder. What was once light, was once heavy, now becomes light. These are all forms of simple progression. Then you talk about when progression becomes complex. How do you deal with people who are no longer in a position to where maybe you add 5 or 10 pounds to a lift and that's it? Now all of a sudden your goal is to maintain strength. How do you work with special populations? You either have to slowly build up to where they are, or you don't know what body you're going to present to the gym on any given day. Studs and studettes, how do you manipulate this progression to keep them from killing themselves? As a quick side note, usually I do is I set them up programs and I set them up goals for like say a 8 to 12 week period followed by a back off period, and this kind of lets them make a good amount of progress without going too far and destroying themselves. And this understanding in genetics, life is not fair. When we're talking about progression, there is no such thing as equity in the human body. The reality is not everyone's going to progress at all or at the same rate, and not everyone ends up in the same place. If I'm going to leave this on a positive note, let me say, again, everyone has the ability to make progress. It's just the definition of that progress is going to be a lot different. So I really like that. That was really good. Let me repeat that again. Everyone has the ability to progress, but the definition of what that progress is going to vary tremendously from person to person. The key is to understand yourself, where you're at, and make progression for you. So that's all for today. Sorry about getting all ranty about communism. There was no need for that, but whatever. Oh, it's only 14 minutes. That's not bad. That's only 3 more minutes than I was supposed to go, so good for me.